We got the same shirt on. What is going on? That was unplanned.
Yeah, Brewtubers Unite.
Wow.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right,
Oh, man.
it
It was a rough sleep for me last night, too. But it's always worse trying to sleep during the day.
Yeah, well, it didn't make it easy that everybody was making all kinds of noise today. So I was up and down every hour, I felt like. So sorry for the late start. I hope, hopefully I'm not too far behind you.
I held off as long as I could, but I've got to deliver those beers I can to somebody at around 6:45, 7 o'clock tonight. So
Okay.
I should be
Yeah.
done by then. Yeah, we should be all right.
I understand.
We've got probably another 20 minutes left of the mash.
Okay. All right, I got to start filling up water here and get started.
All right, so I got a 5.2 on my mash.
Excellent.
I was actually shooting for 5.3, but came in at 5.2.
I was just going to ask you about you were talking about, you wanted to talk about the grain bill.
Yeah.
I was just getting ready to measure stuff out and crush it. Is there something I should know?
Well, what did you get for Munich on your SRM?
That's a good question. What is it? It's the Wireman Munich 1. It's the lighter one.
Yeah,
So I have that, and I also have the Swain Munich Light. I have both, so I can go either way.
So the Munich I got was it's called Dark Munich, so it's 15 SRM.
Oh wow, okay. I don't have the dark one, but I do have what is that? Cara Munich, but that's 51. Well, what do you think? I guess mine could be a bit lighter.
Yeah, it's gonna be a little lighter. Do you have any Cara Munich?
I do, but I wouldn't use it nearly as much.
No. I was thinking that you could do what's the SRM on a Cara Munich? Isn't that 20?
No, well, the one I have is 51, I think.
Oh, really?
It's the Wireman Cara Munich 1 that I have. Here's the Cara Munich 1. I don't know if that's coming through on the camera or not.
So if I look up Cara Munich 1 online, I think it's like 10, right?
Well, according to Beersmith 3, it says it's 51. I have a half a pound of it.
Well, what does your SRM come up to for the recipe?
Almost 9, 8.6.
Well, that's what mine came in at with the Dark Munich.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, hang on. Let me.
Maybe your Dark Munich's not as high as you think it is.
No, it's 15.
Oh,
No,
15. Okay. That's not that much different then.
Yeah, I put it in Beersmith, so it's 15. That's what it is. But the Beersmith calculation for the SRM is 9.
Yeah, I'm at 8.6.
Okay. Why don't you add like take a couple of ounces off of the Munich,
Off the Munich and throw this in there?
and then replace it with that on the Beersmith and see what it does to the SRM.
All right, so Cara Munich 1, according to their website, is 34.
Okay. That makes more sense.
Yeah, I wonder why Beersmith thinks it's 51.
I don't know.
I didn't change it. I just left it as is in there. But all right, well, let me change it to 34. All right, so half a pound brings me up to 9, and that's without taking away any Munich, surprisingly.
What is your
But that's adding it into on top of what I already have.
right? So what is your gravity go up to?
1059.
So
What were we trying to hit?
1056, 1057, somewhere in there.
So I should take away some Munich 1 then, regardless. Yeah. All right, and we'll go with that. That way I can start measuring out grains and getting them.
Yeah,
going.
that way we're the same SRM.
Yeah, we're going to be a little different because of the malt difference, but not by much, I don't think.
Yeah, and I'm going to use a different hops. I'm using Crystal at 30, and you're using Tep.
I'm doing Tettnang, yep. And the IBUs I have are 20.8.
Yeah, we're using the same IBUs.
And the water's getting up there. It's at 141, so get those grains going here. Look at that, start of another brew day. Freshen up the grains. It's gonna be a Marzen. Nice crush. So what was the mash temperature again? 149?
48.
148, okay. Just make sure I'm dialing my water's ready, so
Yeah.
I'm mashing here very shortly.
Calcium, I got 41. Magnesium 7. Sodium 0. Calcium chloride looks like 68. And sulfate 46.
Okay, we're close on those numbers. My magnesium is 1 because I'm not adding any. Sodium is 13 because that's what's in my water. And so my sulfate is 43 and I have chloride is 48 because we were trying to keep them the same at that one profile. If I raise any of those numbers, it's going to raise my calcium.
Yeah, I couldn't get to those numbers because I start out at 0.
Right. That's all right. It's still going to be close. You're going to have an extra 15 of chloride than I do. Everything else is the same.
The sodium. So how much sodium do you have?
Sodium's 13.
13 parts per million.
Yeah.
So just a sprinkle of salt, then kosher salt. Whatever you come in on your mash, hopefully you're between 5.3 and 5.4.
Brewing water tells me it'll be 5.4.
Okay. So when I get to the kettle, I doused it to get it to 5.2.
Oh, okay.
We got a low mash temperature, so it's going to be thin. I also want it to be crisp.
Okay, I'm all right with this.
And the pH at 5.2 should get us that crispness we're looking for. Because the problem with Marzen yeast is it doesn't drive the acidity down when it's fermenting. So the acidity tends to be a little higher when fermentation's done.
Okay.
So you want to start a little lower in the kettle. That's all.
Okay. Works for me. All right. We're doughing in, underletting.
Remember, it's a 90-minute boil, so don't drop your hops for 30 minutes.
Right. Thank you. There you go. You can see it coming up around the grains there. And we're just going down to the clip of the water level. This is a Tony Yates idea I caught on to. Works really well. All right, all meshed in. Had a little bit of a hiccup with the system because normally what I do is I set this to, or I dough in at 5 degrees hotter than my mash temperature, so it normalizes out. But I guess in this heat, wasn't needed because it was right on the money. So adjusted the water a little bit here in the HLT to compensate, and we are good to go. So now we have we're mashing at 148, and we're going to try to maintain that. Mash is a little high.
What is it at?
No, it's at 154. I don't know how that's even possible. So I'm trying to
You have
lower
a
it
large mash paddle?
I do.
Stir with that.
Well, normally what happens, so with this system, what I normally do is I normally put the water in the HLT 5 degrees hotter than what I would mash at, and then it normalizes. Yeah, it normalizes. This time it actually kept it the exact same, which is odd. Like when I mashed in, it's still at 155, so it's really strange.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I do. Then I use a metal mash paddle to bring it down. I have a giant stainless steel mash paddle. It sucks the heat right out.
Well, what I did I brought the HLT way down, so that should help.
You do the same thing I do. I always shoot a little higher because if you're gonna stir it, you're gonna have to get the dough balls out.
The mesh actually increased. I don't know how it increased.
Huh.
But like I had the HLT down to 133 just to make sure it didn't go back up again. And so the HLT rose itself back up to the 148 like I want everything to be. So it never went over that amount. I brought the mash down to 148 before I started heating the HLT again. So the mash tun was at 148. The PID was set to 148. The HLT was 133. The HLT rose up to 148. I had everything sitting at 148 for a good 10 minutes. I went inside to go get some ice water so I can start taking a pH rating. Came outside and the mash tun was up to 153. Like, how is that even possible?
You got a bad probe, buddy. Where's your probe at?
So I have the probe at the what do you call it? At the bottom of the mash tun coming out. So it's in the flow is where the temperature is being recorded.
Okay.
I don't have the probe in. It's not in the mash tun. It's outside. It's right outside the valve.
Right, but the HLT water.
So that probe is inside the HLT.
Right, but what was that water temperature?
Yep, that's the culprit. The HLT is at 162.
Yeah. So your probe on your HLT needs to be replaced.
So I think from here out, I have to babysit the HLT. At least, if nothing else, see what the difference is between the panels. I can fix it.
Are you going to do an offset on your panel?
Temporarily. I mean, unless it's faulty, not consistent. You know, like if it's consistently like 10 degrees off, then that's one thing.
Yeah. Well, you could do that. Yeah, you could try doing your offset.
The panel thinks the HLT is 139, but according to this, it's 149.
All right, so we were down sparging, probably maybe halfway through there, and you can see we're over the element, but we had an issue with the probe in here. I'll talk about that in my Homebrew Wednesday video, I think, but I had to offset that because it's gave me problems today. All right, we've achieved a nice rolling boil there. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this down.
That to me is a perfect Marzen color.
1 second, Gary. I'm just setting the boil here.
Yep.
All right, I'd like to set this to 55. And because we're using mostly Pilsner, I'm going to change this to 90.
I don't like it when they're too dark.
90-minute boil. Start the timer. And at 60 minutes, we'll drop in the bittering. That looks pretty good. And go ahead, Gary. Let's see what you got there. It's the first time you're on camera for the brew day.
Sure.
Or at least my camera.
Recording.
Yeah.
Yeah, to me that's a perfect Marzen color. I don't like them too dark.
That's a nice color.
And you know, once it's in the glass, it'll appear a little darker too. So.
Yeah, if you could, maybe keep one of those aside, a sample aside, so that when mine's done, we can look at them side by side, see how close they are.
Sure. Plus, that's going to settle out a little bit, so I want to see what it looks like when it's clear.
Yep.
It's about right.
It's not dark, but it's darker than I thought it would be.
Yeah, I think that's a nice color for a.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a nice color. Oh, Discord. What'd you put on Discord?
I shot a picture of the color.
Oh, let me do the same thing then.
All right, here we go. We are chilling with glycol, baby. So you can see that here. There we go. That's 85.6. I just turned it on. Let's see, the tilt says it's at 84. So we're pretty close.
Just for another quick update, Gary and I were trying to hit 5.2 in the kettle. So I adjusted my sparge order to make sure that I hit that. And that's what I got, 5.2. It was 5.22. It is now 5.23. It's been sitting in there for a good 5 minutes, so it's probably done calibrating. And you know, we're only a few minutes into the boil now, but Yeah, got our hops ready to go here. I'm going to put in some Magnum for bittering and some Tettnang at 30 once we get there. And for the best part of the brew day, cleaning out the mash tun. Heavy brewer's favorite thing to do.
Really rolling at 65.
Yeah, we got a good rolling boil now. It's a little more aggressive than I normally do. It looks nice. I set it to 60 to try to catch up to Gary's gravity here. But we got a half an ounce of Magnum going straight in this time, not using hop spider because we don't have that much hops in this beer. All right, with 30 minutes left in the boil, we're gonna add in our Tettnang. All right, I had to slow my roll on the boil here because 60% was getting to be too much. I lowered it to 55 because I was checking the gravity and it was already at 1065, so I went ahead and dropped it down to 50. And 15 minutes on the clock now, so we're going to go ahead and put in the yeast nutrient and the Whirlflock tablet.
Oh, fuck, that's crazy.
And look at this, Gary got his glycol works out really good. Look at that, 57 degrees. There's the yeast.
All right. Here's the yeast. In you go, good girls.
Excellent.
Go ahead.
Go to town. Oh, it smells good in there too. Wow.
It's great, man.
I am so happy with this system. I can't even.
Yeah, that was fast. You went from 85-ish to
85.6 degrees to 57 and a half.
yeah. So you dropped like 30 degrees in what, a matter of a half hour or something?
Yep.
That's nuts. And that's in the Florida heat too.
Yeah.
All right, and for the last few minutes of the boil, like the last 5 minutes of the boil, I've been just running everything through, everything here to make sure it's all sanitized, and also to get any aeration that might have been in any of the lines, the chiller, any of that stuff. So this keeps it, keeps a nice boil. Well, it looks like the boil is slowed down a bit now. That's all right. It is 206 degrees, so we're coming down to the end anyway now, so that's all right. I'm not too worried about it, but we're going to start chilling here in a minute. All right, we are chilling. I chilled it into the kettle to about 80 degrees. That's pretty much as far as my groundwater will let it happen. And then I got some ice, and I'm using my submersible pump to recirculate the ice water. So that way we're going to pitch, what is it now, 66? 64, I think. Yeah, 64, I think it says it's going in there. And yeah, I always like to pitch the lager on the little bit of the warm side. I'm going to set the ferment chamber to 55, so it will come down to 55, but this way we'll get a bit of a warm start. And Gary and I both had some great efficiency. This is definitely out of the style of a Marzen. 1070, unreal.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Hey, like that?
That's nice. That looks about the same, doesn't it?
I think that.
I think I already threw it out though.
That?
I already tossed mine.
You already tossed yours?
Well, I drank half of it and then I tossed the tube.
That's funny.
Good brew day.
Yes, sir.
I don't know why we ended up so high, both of us. It's weird.
Yeah, 1072. That's wild. That's
Crazy.
like crazy efficiency.
Yeah. Yeah, I ended up at 1068.
Maybe I shouldn't have changed it to 60%. Maybe I should have left it where it was.
Yeah, you did definitely. And you still would have ended up high, but you would have ended up probably where I was.